Hello and welcome to a special edition of Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In today's special edition of Focus on Liberia, we are privileged to have an expert in natural healing, herbs, and longevity, Mr. Lotani Kaggwa, who is joining us all the way from Kampala, Uganda. Brother Lotani, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you for having me, Brother Dennis. Thank you for having me.
We are so happy to have you join us. And how is it there in Kampala? What time is it, in fact?
Right now in Kampala, it is 1800 hours, which is like 6 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
And we are at that time when we are about an hour away from sunset, so it's still bright outside. It's humid and hot, but beautiful, humid and hot, and very green, very green. We're just like in paradise. It's very green.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
that is very good.
Yes, sir.
That's very good. And right here is just 10 minutes after 11 here in Atlanta. And
Yes, sir.
it's good to see you. And
Yes, sir.
and really to discuss the topic that we want to talk about. But before
Yes,
we
sir.
talk about that topic, I just want to briefly introduce you to my audience here.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
I'll start. Let me introduce you to my audience.
Yes, sir.
So, Lotani Kaggwa was raised and schooled in Uganda and Kenya during his childhood. He later
Yes, sir.
attended college in Great Britain.
Yes,
And
sir.
he tells me that he's been a health enthusiast since he can remember, which led him into a long life path of research in the areas of health and wellness, nutrition, and longevity. Over the years, he has delved deep into the study of naturopathy, which explores ways in which the body can heal itself, as well as herbal medicine and lifestyle changes that can enhance the human life experience. He tells me, I practice Transcendental Meditation for over 27 years. I'm going to ask him what that is. And he was influenced by his paternal grandmother for herbal remedies, as well as a book by Leila Africa.
Yes, sir.
Our guest is a Pan-Africanist. He's a student of African history with nothing but peace and love towards all humanity. And I can see those things reflected in your attitudes, even ever since we joined here.
Yes,
Tell me a
sir.
little bit more about how you got into this.
My brother, I'm grateful and fortunate enough to be able to come onto your show, and thank you for inviting me. And may the universe continue to guide us and to bless your show. Um, I was raised in an extended family whereby I had my dad, mom, brothers, sisters, but I also had what within the Western experience, what they call like cousins, but for us we call them brothers and sisters. They're just children from another father or children from another mother were raised that. But also I had my paternal grandmother and also my paternal great aunt. Okay, but both of them were my grandmothers because one was a sister to my grandfather, the other one was a wife to my grandfather. So, and they were very strong influences because my paternal grandmother was a healer. She was a healer. She was one of those people, like for instance, if you had a broken bone, okay, she could be able to massage you even if you're like 20 kilometers away. All she needed to do is just get you come there. She gets a piece of cloth, she puts it on you, she tells you go back to your home, but whenever it's early morning, sunrise, just sit back, don't move because you're going to experience pain. And then she'll be able to, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, this is all gospel truth, my brother. And then she always she would be able to touch your bones or to heal your bones sunrise or sunset. And usually, like right now, it's sunset here in Kampala. Right now will be the time when she would be able to tell you, you've got to be quiet, sit it down, and should massage that broken bone. And within a period of time, you would heal. The broken bones will be healed. So she greatly influenced me. Yet at the same time, with all that experience, she was also my grandfather was a reverend, within the Christian tradition. So it's not that it's a either or kind of way, that it's my way or the highway. No, it was a fusion of all these things put together. And then as I grew up, I grew up in a household where we have we read a lot. I read a lot. My father was an economist, so he had so much books to read. And by the time I was maybe 12 years old, I had reread the Bible over like 7 times from beginning to the end. You know, the Christian Bible. So that put me on the journey of self-discovery. And because my heritage is both Kenyan and both Ugandan. I'm of both countries. On my maternal side, I'm Kenyan. On my paternal side, I'm Ugandan. So I ended up also having to live in Kenya, and I was also greatly influenced by my grandparents on my Kenyan side. So later on, when I was doing my studies, my college studies in England, I came across all these libraries, and they had all these books, and a lot of the books I was exposed to people through ideas from around the world. And that's where I got interested into transcendental meditation. And that was because I came across a book which was in the libraries. Okay. And also I met a lot of brothers and sisters who were from the Caribbean tradition. And when we shared like our growing up experiences, I realized we had a lot in common, especially when it came to our attitudes towards our ancestors, and our attitudes towards the healing traditions that are present, that our ancestors bequeathed unto us. So I delve deeper because to the extent that I'm the type of person who was maybe during the I'll be simultaneously reading like about 5 books at any one given time. Like even in one day, I would read like I'd be reading like 5 books at a given time. I read this book, I put it down, I read this book, and that is one thing that molded me until I realized that my soul was incompatible with living in England. So I had to return back here to the motherland. And when I returned back here to the motherland, my soul opened up. And actually, it was during the time when I was in England. That's when I realized that whenever I'll take a lot of this medicine from the Western tradition, from the European tradition, I would observe it, I would meditate, and I would feel that, yes, they had an effect which was positive, but I would also feel within my body something which was getting off. And I realized that, oh, wait a minute, my grandmother was a herbalist. So that's when I knew that I had to return home. And since I returned home, I delved deep into the herbal medicines. And there's no way you can be a herbalist, yet at the same time, you do not do you be taking medicine that is not from the ground, that is not from where you grow it, because the best medicine is the food you eat. That is the best medicine. Are the things which are around you, the vegetation around you, the air around you. The best medicine is the relationships you have around you, the relationships you have with the plants, the relationship you have with the earth, the relationship you have with the water, the relationship you have with the birds, the relationship you have with the wind, because the wind talks to us, the relationship you have with the people around you. So all these things culminated together, but at the same time, I had, by that time, everyone would ask you, what do you do for a living? So for a living, I was I was a restaurant. I was a restaurant. I was a business person who was running restaurants.
Okay.
Okay, and but I realized that's not what I do for a living. Because if anyone asks me right now what I do for a living, is that I do life. That's what I do for a living.
Life.
I do life.
Life.
Life. If you ask me what do I do for a living, life. That's what I do. And
Wow.
I venerate life.
What does that mean? You do life for a living?
Because my brother, every day we wake up. I'll give you something. Let me show you. What do you do for a living? Someone will tell you, well, I'm an accountant.
Right.
Okay. So how did you end up being an accountant? I went to grade school.
College, yeah.
I finished my grade school. I went to university, or I did SCCA, or I did all this, and I ended up being an accountant. And that's what I'm doing right now to earn a living. So you characterize everything about your life based on a particular aspect of that. Whereas what I do for a living is I do take note of every single moment of my life, from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. These other things are just part of that.
Okay.
But what I do is live every moment that I'm in this physical manifestation. That is what I do every moment. So if it means at one time I'm driving a car, that driving a car is not, it does not supersede the entirety of my, from morning till evening. It does
Yeah.
not supersede my thoughts, my emotions, my spiritual guidance, my body health. It does not supersede that. It is part of that. So all the academia I've acquired, that is not what I do for a living. No, sir. It doesn't
Right.
dictate.
You also say you practice transcendental meditation for 27 years.
Yes,
Tell me a
sir.
little bit about that.
Um, I remember when I was a little when I was pretty young. I was like about 6, and my grandmother. I was in my grandmother's room. I used to love being with her because she used to love telling me a lot of oral stories from way back. Now, she would tell me, she's now deceased. She's long gone, and she lived. Here's a woman who lived to be 96. So yes, sir, I had a very good teacher. And on top of that, my paternal my grandmother, my grandfather's sister lived to be 104. So
Wow.
when I'm coming onto this thing, I'm talking from a lineage of experience. Okay, so I used to sit in her room and look. She had all these really ancient photographs of her when she was a young girl, because my grandmother was born in 1902. So she had photographs of like in 1918s and something like that, and also like some of the wedding photographs she had, and her wedding. And I would sit there and stare at them and not move, and I wouldn't move. I'd be mesmerized. And before, many times, people like people would come and say, tell my grandmother, what's wrong with your grandson? Why is he staring so much onto these pictures? And she would tell them that leave him alone. Because when she would ask me, I would say, those photographs are talking to me.
Hmm.
Now, fast forward ahead, I come across a book about meditation. And then when I sat back, and the practice of transcendental meditation is being aware of observing your breath, just simply observing your breath and making sure everything else fades into the background. Now, to me, when I did that, it took me back to when I used to be a young child staring into these photographs and being able to disappear and not be and be physically present,
Right.
but spiritually and everything else, I wouldn't be around. So transcendental meditation is when you sit, you go quiet, you look for a quiet place, a room or somewhere, you sit. I prefer to sit in a lotus position. That's when you sit, maybe when your feet are like that.
Right.
And you quieten your mind. When you quieten your mind, it's simply you just observe your mind. You don't get involved with what your mind is, because we are educated in a system whereby you are supposed to be thinking every now and then. But it doesn't mean that you have to be, whatever you think is what you have to go by. Because remember, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you are able to observe your thoughts, take a step back and look at those thoughts like the way how you feel wind comes and goes, clouds come and go. If you realize that thoughts also are the same, they come and go, then they cease to have power over you. Your mind ceases to have power over you. Your mind starts to be your servant instead of you being a servant to your mind. Your mind is something which is a really positive tool if you are able to quieten it and listen and not get involved, because every thought we have triggers an emotional reaction. Every emotional reaction we have triggers a chemical reaction within our bodies. And most chemical reactions are like when you hear we've got that hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is that thing that makes you tense up and you want to run if you're scared or get angry or get what? That's cortisol. So everything which we're talking about or which we go through has got an effect on us, and everything can be traced back to what you're thinking about. So if you're able it's more than master. If you're able to observe your thoughts and not let them affect your physicality, or not let them be a thought to rule you, because you know that thought can disappear any moment. You let it go. The thought comes, it goes. And after some time, your mind quietens down completely until you have no thoughts.
That's something. And I mean, as a child, you were looking at pictures and you were saying the pictures were talking back to you.
Yes,
Did
sir.
anyone say you were getting out of your mind?
Was anyone saying, was I getting out of?
Your mind, that what's going on with this little boy?
Obviously, when you look at a child and you nudge the child and the child is not moving and the child seems to be in a daze, just like in what would be called a stupor, like just staring at a picture like that. Obviously, they would say that, but because my grandmother was around, my grandmother would say, "Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Wow.
Leave him alone. He's okay. He's okay." For her it was okay. For her it wasn't something that was um, um, unordinary.
Right.
And also, if you look within our African setting, for instance, I'll tell you something. If you look every part of Africa, wherever we used to have family meals where we sit to have meals. And especially maybe the men sometimes would sit alone, or the head of the table would sit at a particular, or the head of the family somewhere different. But the rest of all the children, you'll be seated around. But one thing what used to be stressed is that be still. When you're in the presence of elders, or when you're in presence of eating food, they'll tell you, sit and be still. Especially when you're a child, if you're a child who's always fidgeting, doing this, the adults will be on you. No, still, be still. And that process of sitting and be still is the same process that you go in when you want to quieten your mind. And this was our living, this was our life, this was our lifestyle. And if I may add on to that, is that right now, my brother, which some of the things that we are going through right now, which is something we have to change, is that it seems that the more educated people have gotten, the more illnesses they get.
Yeah.
The more they've aspired to be part of of the Western or Europeanized tradition, the more people are ill. Our people are so ill, and it's because they are no longer at ease with themselves. Just like how the great author from Nigeria, Chinua Achebe, he wrote that we are no longer at ease.
Yeah.
You know, and that is because the education system which is in place, okay, does not take into account of who us as a people, who we are. We just copied and paste, yet at the same time we needed to take our oral traditions and infuse them within this education system, so that it's not a matter of either or, but it's when you get the best of the both worlds and put them together and make our lives our lives worthwhile to be lived. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are in conversation with Mr. Lotani Kaggwa. He's a natural healing expert. He's also a Pan-Africanist.
Yes, sir.
And what he does for a living? Life.
Yes, sir.
Our topic today is lifestyle changes to address these chronic diseases, cancer and diabetes.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
get into that. Cancer,
Yes, sir.
diabetes, and all these hypertension. Where do they come from?
Okay. My brothers, as right now, I just said earlier on, we are no longer at ease. Okay. And that is why we have that word dis-ease,
Yeah.
which becomes disease, because you are out of ease. And health is about body, mind, and soul, or spirituality. Okay, none of these things is separate from one another, and right now everything which within this system is so disjointed that right now, if for instance, if you wake up and go to work, let's say you're a doctor at a hospital and you're there busy, you're a clinician in a hospital, okay, it is not, it is considered to be you're not professional enough if at any given moment you listen to your soul and tell people that at this moment in time, okay, I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to be working, I have to go home. But because you live in a time where it says it's from your working hours are from this time to that time, if you decide to deviate from that, then you're not professional enough. But at the same time, there's a message that's coming through you, and that message can be coming through you from a spiritual point of view, which is trying to tell you that, you know what, maybe go home, because this spirituality is something that is connected to every single individual and every single living thing. And once you're not, you lose that connection with everything that is living, we start to get into little niches, and those little niches become the world. And within those little niches, that's where we get into being disjointed. And the more we become disjointed, that's when we become we get to be at a moment, at a point in our lives whereby our mind is not in harmony with our soul, and it's not in harmony with our bodies. I'll give you an example. In Papua New Guinea, there's a story in Papua New Guinea, and the leading powers at that time decided to go and explore Papua New Guinea and whatever they did, and they wanted to go up one of the mountains, and they had people who were carrying their stuff. And when they were carrying their stuff, they moved at a pace, and until the white people, who were, of course, as you know, in them days, the white people couldn't carry anything. It's whoever was carrying the stuff. So they ended up making people move at a pace, and then they stopped. The people who were carrying everything stopped, and they said, you know what? They asked them, why are you stopping, even after whipping them? they said, you know what? We have to let our souls catch up with our bodies, because you can move your lifestyle. And that is what's happening. The lifestyle is so fast. Everything, you wake up, you've got to do this, you've got to do A, B, C. When you wake up, if you see people living in the Western world, when they wake up tense. Hup, wake up, I've got to do this. Everything is like in a state of panic. And that state of panic produces cortisol. And that production of cortisol is one of the main things that is producing this, what is called cancer, or what is being called diabetes. And also, to add on to that, we have forgotten how to live. Like what I said, to me, I do life. That's what I do. We've forgotten how to live. Our education system should be more teach people how to live.
Lotani, before you get to that, because you said something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said something, because our educational system. So just put your finger to that point. We're going to start from there when we come back. But
yes, sir.
What you say is like in the West, the way we panic. Like for me, even the day I'm not going to work,
yes, sir,
I'm still panicking. Is this something that I have not done yet? Is this something I'm supposed to be doing? Why am I sitting here? I feel like I'm wasting time relaxing. So that tells me that, but we don't have cancer and diabetes only in America. Even in villages, we have those things. So how do you reconcile that?
Now, at the same time, I'll give you an illustration, my brother. You've heard of an animal called a skunk?
Yeah.
You know, skunk has got a really nasty,
Yeah.
You do not need to see a skunk to know it's moved out of here. It's been around here.
Yeah.
And that is what has happened to everywhere. Wherever a skunk has moved, it's left a trail of its smell there. So right now, within our villages, we've been touched by that smell of a skunk, because even people right now in villages are aspiring, because the education system that has been bequeathed unto them is the same education system based on the education which was presented by the colonialists. Okay, and the colonialists coming, like for instance, if you're from the English-speaking world, okay, that came from Britain and put that education system into the US, and then that colonialist system decided to put this to go into all these other colonies which were being which had been taken over. So what happened? What happened is that the people in the villages right now, when you tell them to read, they read their ABCDs. When you tell them, and that is the tradition. So when a child is going to sit up and say, you know what, for me today, I am going to be the child says to me today, I'm going to the river. I'm just going to the river. I'm not going to class. The first thing they'll be saying, don't you want to have a good future?
Yeah.
Don't you want to have a good future? Go and study. But at the same time, the child is going to the river to study, to listen to what the wind is saying, to listen to see what the water is doing. We've lost reverence for our day-to-day things. We've lost reverence for the wind. We've lost reverence for the water. We've lost reverence for the fact that us as a spiritual being can be taught by things other than humans. And the only experience which we think is worthwhile is an experience that has been brought down to us from one human being to another. But no, sir, you can look up into the clouds, and those clouds, you can learn something from them. Every single thing around us is a learning experience. And that is what I'm saying, is that right now people, we've been taken from being able to be in harmony with everything around us, and just only focused into this thing which is like what would be called the Western education.
Right.
And that one, everything there's a law of cause and effect. So the effects which we are feeling right now are caused by the education system which we found ourselves in, which we've taken over. But I am glad that within the last 2 years, that right now people have become more more aware. Because if you look right now, here in Africa, we've had one of the lowest incidences of all
COVID.
this of the illnesses that have gone on around the world. Okay, and yet there were none. Most people went back to their roots and started to rely on herbs, and they realized that herbs talk back to you for the simple fact that every herb is a living entity. Every herb is a living entity. We are not the only people who are sentient. And that is the education system bequeathed to us by the European tradition, is that it's only man who's superior. But as from the tradition of Africa, we knew that living plants, that's why they're called living plants. They're alive. You can get something out of them. And once you're aware, once you're humble enough, and you have that humility in you that that plant is alive, then you treat it with respect. And once you treat it with respect, that same energy comes back to you, and it feeds you, and it makes you healthy. Instead of, guess what, my brother, like what you said, you wake up in the morning. What do you wake up? I'll give you a traditional breakfast. Wake up, coffee, milk, sugar, bread, spread either butter or some sort of jam or marmalade, sausages, eggs, and that is your breakfast. But every single thing which you see there, which you've eaten, none of that is alive. Everything has been transformed.
Yeah.
There's a chemical reaction that has gone in. But growing up, it's still here. It's still living here in the villages. Growing up in the villages, many children, they wake up. Guess what they do? As they're going to school, they pass the neighbor's yard. There's a mango. They pick that mango. There's a sugar cane. By the time they get to school, they've had a jackfruit. By the time they get to school, the nutrition they've received is a food that is alive. And remember something which is in the fruits. There's something called plasma. There's something called plasma. All these fruits have got plasma. And that is why you see, do you know right now the country that is the largest exporter of blood products is the USA. And the blood product which they love the most, because they harvest blood from all these blood banks that are situated within the inner cities, okay, where they pay people to donate blood, to give their blood, and they're given money. But the aspect within there which they love the most is the plasma. And when you take that plasma, when that plasma is given, that plasma is life-giving. But as we knew it way back, that when you take something like, when you take a leaf, you eat a leaf as you're going somewhere. When you pick some coffee berries, because coffee berries are indigenous to Africa, instead of taking them where you've ground them and you take a coffee berry and you suck on it, excuse me, you get the nutritional value, and you without the side effects of having maybe your heart palpitating. But you get that particular nutrition because you've picked it alive and it's got plasma in it. Yeah. Every single thing we're having right now, I'll tell you this, the most cutting edge science right now existing, my brother Dennis, the cutting edge science right now, which is producing things that are pretty amazing in life right now, is science where they've decided to look at the body and what makes the body heal itself. They look at the molecules that exist within the body. And those are the molecules right now that are being mass produced. That is why I was talking about what I said about plasma, because plasma is within the body. So they're giving people plasma in order for you to have more life. They're giving people, right now, if you see, they're giving people more of stem cells. You've heard of stem cells, my brother?
Yeah.
They're giving people stem cells because stem cells are things that already exist within our body. And us as Africans, we always knew where stem cells were. And stem cells, when a child was born. In fact, I remember a brother from Barbados, a brother from Barbados, and he was telling me that for them, when they were growing up, when a child was born, the placenta, where after the mother giving birth, they would get
Yeah.
a bit of the placenta, they would boil it, and they would give a spoon to the child. And that is a practice that is within many African traditions right now to this day. Okay? Because that wards off, guess what happens? You're giving that child stem cells.
Mm.
And now science has caught up with that. So if we go back and say we look right now, what is the biggest illnesses we are having? We are having cancer, we're
Yeah.
having diabetes. So what do we do? Because
Yeah.
those are what do we do right now? Because everyone wants that. We want answers. And I'll tell you what we'll do right now. What the first
And
and foremost.
that's the big question you're going to be answering. But you said
Yes, sir.
something that I
Yes,
want
sir.
to ask you on, cancer, diabetes, what do we do? And that's why we are here today. But
Yes,
you
sir.
said we have lost reverence for the wind.
Yes,
We have
sir.
lost reverence for the river.
Yes, sir.
I grew up on a mission. So
Yes,
if you
sir.
talk about reverence to the wind, that's idol worshiping,
Yes, sir. I hear you.
right?
I hear you. I
Two,
hear you. Uh-huh.
you're talking about all the things in the villages that we should be doing.
Yes,
But
sir.
if you left school to go observe the rivers,
Yes, sir.
or if you look up to the cloud for learning,
Yes,
how does
sir.
that benefit you? Can you become a minister in government by observing, looking up in the sky? So
Yes,
it
sir.
makes all the things you talk about, they are like useless to the advancement of our society and what we need to develop our economy, technology, and so on and so forth.
I hear you. I hear you. And brother, that is a very valid point which you've raised. Okay. That point which you've raised is within the matrix of the Eurocentric world. Because the world, okay, I'll give you an example. Okay. If you stop right now if that child decides not to go within that Eurocentric child, how many children do you see who still live in the villages? And right now, the village elders that are present, many of them are those village elders that did not join or that dropped out of the education system that had been presented to them, and they decided to stay within the villages. They never went into the towns. They were considered unsuccessful. But
Yeah.
guess what? They're the people without the diabetes. They're the people without the cancers, because the cancer prevalence, even here on the motherland, the cancer prevalence is so much within people who have gone through this education system. That is why it's very unfortunate and very sad that the more educated people are, the more sick they are. The more educated they get, the more degrees they get, the more sick they are. And that tells you that there's something that doesn't add up. Something about there, when you just look at it, it does not add up. And instead of looking at the other world and saying, okay, if you don't do this, you're not going to advance into the technology. Fine, you're not going to advance into the technology. But if we look at that technology which we are talking about right now, if that technology is the one that is making us cut down all these trees, if that technology is the one that's saying that we should, instead of having grass, we should pave the area, if that technology is the one, if that's technology, if that's advancement, then we're not living a great future for our children and those who come after us. We're leaving them in a dysfunctional world, which will be like there used to be movies made by this man called Mel Gibson, and they were called the Mad Max series. And you see the world whereby it's dystopian, and that is the matrix. That is the end result of this so-called Western Eurocentric or collective West type of education. It is heading people to that dysfunctional, dystopian world of Mad Max. Yet when we come back to self, come back to nature, come back to the origin of self, come back, like right now, as you said, when you have reverence for the wind, that you idol worship. No, you're not having. It's not idol worship. It's knowing that you have a place in the universe, just as much as the wind has a place in the universe. And as you have reverence for your parents, you do not worship your parents, but you revere your parents, you revere your grandparents, you revere your elders. Okay, and it's in the same way you revere the wind, you revere the water which you walk on, because those things sustain you. I'll give you an example right now. Do you know the thing which retains the most memory in the world? It is water. Water has got the highest memory retention. Every single thing which we did as Africans within the pre-colonial days is being proved by science right now. Science is proving it, and water retains that. So if I'm to have water, if I disrespect water, and water has got the highest memory retention, then guess what happens to me? I do not get that. I do not get that reverence, but I get what I give in. And so what do we do? What should we do within ourselves? Yes, sir. I can see you're drinking water. I just cheers to you, my brother.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. And we have to go back and have a change of mind, of what we think, of how we think, and our approach towards everything that is around us. At the same time, that does not mean that you cannot be a Christian. Just because someone told you that when you revere water, you're not a Christian. But guess what? That same person is revering, that same person's children and descendants are revering the water right now. And they're the ones saying, you've got to drink water every now and then. These are things which we're doing before.
Yeah.
You know? So when you take, there is also a saying within the African tradition, which says, take your mouth out of your enemy's kitchen. Take your mouth out of your enemy's kitchen. And that saying is very profound, because our mouths, what we are eating, what we are feeding, is coming from a kitchen of someone who is not friendly towards us, of someone whose main thought or whose main idea is to be exploitative towards us and everyone else. This has nothing to do with black or white or nothing. No. We're just saying the mindset of a group of people who think that they set in motion whereby we gotta rule everyone else. But in order to rule you, you've got to be a servant to us. So if you're going to be listening to that person, then you'll end up being their servant. But if you take your mouth out of that person's kitchen, then you will know you've got body sovereignty. Then you will not be a servant to anyone but to the Most High, to the one who created you. And once you know the one who created you also created the wind, created the clouds, created the grass, created the ground you walk on, created the water, then you must have reverence for everything around you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Talvina Cole. I am an activist, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
Let's come to lifestyle changes to address these things. We remember you put your finger at cancer.
Yes,
we
sir.
first said why these things happen. So now they're happening. I'm in America. Most of us are sick. By the time you enter 50, it's one sickness to the other, and the medicines start going up. What do we do?
Okay. One thing, first and foremost, right now, where I'll just say something, because we've got to be able to use what we have without having to go into our pocket to get money out to go and get something else. Okay? We must use what we have. And what do we have? We have our mind.
Yeah.
We have our body and we have our soul. So the first thing is you must change your mind, your mindset. We must have a complete turnaround, okay, of our lifestyle, a complete turnaround. I'm not saying that you have to leave the technology and everything. No, those technologies are just things which are supposed to help our lives be better. So first is take possession of your mind. And there's so many tools that we can use to take possession of our mind. And one of the best things to do is always have a positive mindset. We must have a positive mindset. You said something, we cannot be able to own, we should never own any of these illnesses and say, oh, my cancer, or my diabetes, or my, no. It is an ailment that someone has. It is not something you should own. You should first and foremost know that that is not, because as a man thinketh, so is he. So first and foremost, I'm talking about tools that you have where you're seated right now. Every one of us, this is something where we are all the same. And those tools are our mind. We have our mind. And one thing which we have to do with our mind is we must be able to be humble. We must have humility. Because all of us, as we are hard-hearted as a people. We are, everything must be my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And once you have that sort of mindset, you become stuck. You're unable to open up to experiences that are outside of your mind. So the first thing is take possession of what's going on within your mind. That is the first thing. Before I can even go on to all these other things. Then the next thing which we should do, my brother Dennis, what do we eat? What do we put? What nutrition do we put in our bodies? Without going into anything, just because every day we have to eat. Yeah. That is part of who we are.
I just had quicker oats.
Aha, you've had that. Okay, yeah. You've had that one. That's very cool because it's high in fiber. Okay, and guess what happens, my brother? Okay, once you decide to take charge of what to eat, but also what not to eat, we should take that into mind, because right now, with all the advertisements that are going on, okay, we are told to eat things that we are not supposed to eat. For instance, brother, us as Africans, yeah, we've got foods that are compatible with our DNA, depending from what particular part of Africa you come from. Because guess what? That is what your ancestors ate for generations. So your body adjusted to that. Okay? And once your body adjusted to that, that is the DNA. Your DNA decided to change, and it passed on to your descendant and onto the descendants of descendants until up to where we are right now. Okay? One of the things which, as like right across Africa, if you look right all the way from the west to north to south to east, the foods we eat, there's a lot of cassava, or what we or sometimes called manioc. Yeah. There's a lot of sweet potato.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of plantain. Okay. And we are not a group of people that ate a lot of grain, especially the wheat, especially the corn, because those are grains, those are grasses, those are grains from grasses. Okay, so what do we eat within us? And even what we eat and what we do not eat, we've got to be able to take that into account. And then also our rehydration. Right now, my brother, you're having some water. How much water, how much do we rehydrate? Because when you look at our bodies right now, my brother, our bodies are 80%, 75 to 80% made of water.
Yeah.
But what we put into our bodies is usually more solids than liquids. You know, we end up having this, we're having that, we're having that. We put in more solids than liquids. Yet our body is made up of more water, and the water is divided into it's got 3 molecules. 2 molecules of hydrogen one molecule is of oxygen, which is H2O, which gives you water. Now, our environment has been polluted so much, yeah, that even the oxygen we're breathing in the fumes of the cars. We are being our appliances which we're using, they're emitting all these other frequencies that are affecting us. So we are no longer intaking enough hydrogen within our body, because if your body is 80% water, okay, and of that water, two-thirds of it is hydrogen, that means you need to take hydrogen within our bodies. And our bodies right now, you ask anyone right now within the black world, okay, how much hydrogen do you consume in a day? You're going to find that absolutely, like, only maybe 3% of people have taken into account that, wait a minute, I must take hydrogen. And hydrogen is one thing that is one of the best cleansers, because I'm going into that. Once you cleanse, because what is affecting us, we're having cancer, we're having diabetes, we are not removing things from our bodies. So by not removing them, they've become toxic to our bodies. And in the process of being toxic to our bodies, they've made us to be, we are no longer at ease. Okay? So we have to be able to be mindful that right now we have to decrease what we eat and increase what we drink. Then on top of that, if you look at ourselves as we are, brother, right now, yeah?
Right.
Every day we as a, even the machine, everything must have a moment of rest. Okay? But we live in a world whereby everyone must only sleep for only maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then you're back on the treadmill. Yet sleep is one of the most rejuvenating quality we can aspire to. Because when you sleep, when your body is in sleep, it's at ease. And when you're at ease, then the body can heal itself. Because guess what? When you're sleeping, your mind gets out of the way. Your ego gets out of the way. And your body can do what it's supposed to do. But because of the lifestyle we're living right now, I cannot sleep more than 4 or 5 hours. If I do sleep, I'm not doing enough. And so the money you make, you end up taking it to the doctor in order for you to get healed. So it's like it's self-defeating. So part of the things which also we should do is that, okay, fine, we should be able to take care of our mind, we should be able to take care of our body, but as part of sleep, we should be able to take care of our spirituality, of our spirit, of our soul. Like, for instance, like for you, it's very good. You love to be to go to church. You love to read the Bible, and if you read the Bible not as something that was sent to colonize us, but something that is liberating to us, the Bible is a very effective healing entity. The reason right now is that the Bible is the way how it was brought to us. It was brought to us to calm us down, not to ask questions. But if you read it in its entirety, you once, for instance, once your body is in a state of sleep and your ego is out of the way, your mind is out of the way, guess what? Many times when you sleep, you dream.
Yeah.
And some of the dreams you have, you can dream even when you're flying, or when you're doing very impossible things which you can't do in your daytime, in your awake life.
Yeah.
Okay? That shows you how much effectiveness, how much ingenuity, how much creation that we have within ourselves. And within that particular mind frame, if you're able to have those dreams, that means at the same time your soul your spirit has detached itself from the body, and it's giving you a window into a world outside of your mind. Because right now, the world which we are focused in is the world of our mind. So if we can have a world outside of our mind, which is the world of spirituality, because it's the spiritual world, okay, that governs the mind, and it's the mind that governs the body. So if we are able to take into account all those three aspects, and each and every one of them right now as we are, we do not need money. You do not need money in order to be spiritual right now. You don't need money. You don't need money. Right now in your mind, you can say, right now, you humble yourself. You put yourself in a place of humility, and you surrender to the universe. You surrender, or you can call it the universe, you can call it the ancestors, you can call it God, you can call it Jesus, you can call it Muhammad, you can call it Buddha, but it's the creator. It's the creator. Once you surrender yourself to the creator, but that's something you take right now and say, I surrender, and you let that guide us. But you got to be honest with yourself, truly honest with yourself. And those are things which you can do right now. Right now, as we are, my brother, right now, without having to go and buy anything and do that. Then, after you've done that, then you can start zeroing in. Like right now, we say, okay, fine. Can you tell me what the herbs are? Can you tell me what the cutting edge science is? Because next time, maybe my brother will be able to talk. You and me will be able to talk. I'll give you some of the cutting edge science. If you've got a pen and paper, I'll tell you this. Right now, there's some molecules that are out of this world that have produced results, and everything which I'm talking about is verifiable in a scientific laboratory. There are molecules like resveratrol. There are molecules like NMN. There are molecules like Satuin 6. Okay, all these molecules give you longevity, so you live longer. So guess what happens within your body? Within your body is recalibrated to a body of youth. And once you have that body of youth, guess what? You're able to do more. You're able to get more out of your day, and you are less likely to fall into the trap of producing cortisol.
Right. So where are those molecules?
Those molecules are within your country right now, where you are right now. However, you've got to be a person who's from the cutting edge of society. Because this science right now is not broadcast to everyone else, because it's there. If you're interested in research, it's there. But they know very well that most people are interested in who won the Oscars or something along those lines. Okay. Yet at the same time, these molecules right now, like for instance, they're like hydrogen. I'll give you an example, like hydrogen. If right now, my brother, you get off this talk we're having, I would want you to go and buy a hydrogen bottle. You can get it even off Amazon, okay, and be able to take water that's infused with hydrogen. That is something I would recommend to every single Black person that is here right now. Because that will detox. You need to detox. Once you detox, you lighten the body. Then you'd even see the science right now. There's science like in Japan and in Russia. I mean, Japan, Russia, and also China, whereby hydrogen water is being used right now, okay, in cancer therapies, which you're talking about. And this is just hydrogen water. But because hydrogen water is not very expensive to acquire, so maybe it might not be in the interest of those who manufacture medicines to highlight it as a remedy for a lot of things that are ailing our communities.
So that hydrogen water is processed. If I went to the creek in my
Yes, sir.
village. Do I get that same hydrogen water, or it has to be something processed on Amazon?
I'll tell you what. If you go to the creek right now, because the skunk walked through,
Yeah.
guess what has happened? We've lost reverence for that water. So that water no longer has as much qualities, because guess what? We're throwing polythene papers inside there into that water.
We're mining gold.
Yeah, that's it. So it's not. However, that is why I'm saying it's not either or. That's why it's supplements. You can supplement. You get right now. Let me ask you this, my brother. Right now in your home, and this is for people. It's not for everyone, but in your home right now, you should be having a filter on your tap water. You should be having that. That is automatic, because all the water which you're consuming right now is not fit for human consumption. And I don't care. And I'm saying, you brothers and sisters, all of you who are in the diaspora right now, you must have a filtration service, and you can get. There are a lot of filters right now which you can get, which will remove the metals, because the water we're having right now is filled with metals and a lot of junk inside it. It looks like water, but it's not really pure water, which is good for you. So you should be having right now, a filtration system, which you should put on your kitchen tap. And then that is the water which is best, which you put in a hydrogen bottle, and then be able to be drinking that one, which will be able to detox. Because one thing right now, diabetes, the cancer, all those things cannot live in a body that is detoxed. They cannot live in there. They live in a body that's full of junk. And I'm saying this respectfully. I'm not saying to anyone that anyone is junk, or no. That's not my intention. I'm just saying right now, as we are, because of the lifestyle that has been bequeathed unto us, a lot of our bodies are not able to excrete, to remove a lot of these junks, because our bodies were not made to remove heavy metals.
Yeah.
So when we do that, I'll give you another thing right now, which I would love people to detox by. Just as I see time is flying by.
Yeah,
Every one of you, everyone who's here, I'll tell you this: try as much as possible to get hydrogen water. Try as much as possible to get humeric or folic acid, okay, as a supplement. And all these which I'm saying, this is all science, because if I start giving you herbs right now, everyone will look at me, woo, that man has gone into juju and stuff like that. Yet to me, herbs are not juju. But right now, I want to talk to an audience. I want to pull people in. So what do? I'm giving you things that can be scientifically verified, whereby you can go and search it out. So I would advise everyone to have hydrogen water, hydrogen infused water. That's what you should take. Make sure.
I want to write them on the screen as you
Yes, sir.
as you list them. Hydrogen infused water.
Yes, sir.
That's number one, and that will help with detoxing.
Yes, sir. And the other thing which you should also have is humeric, HUMRIC, or
folic acid.
Humeric acid. Okay, which is for human consumption. The one because there are two types. There's one which is given to plants, but there's also one for human consumption. Or humic acid. In fact, sometimes it's written humic, HUMIC,
right.
HUMIC acid. Okay, supplement with that one. Okay, and then what else would I recommend for people, especially people who are living in the diaspora right now? What you should be having, and I'll tell you what.
It's a folic acid.
Yes, and folic acid as well. Both of them. It's one name or the other, that one.
Okay.
You should be having that one. Okay. And then the other thing which I'd suggest to people to be having right now to supplement with it, on top of having high infusion of vitamin C, vitamin D, and a lot of that one, yeah. And on top of what I said, having a lot of sleep. Make sure you have 8 hours of sleep, brother Dennis. Have 8 hours of sleep, because you're right now you're God in person. Your name is Jah, which is God in person. So my brother, God rested on the 7th day. So even you must make sure you must have 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day. Okay. And then on top of that, the only herb right now which I can tell people to have is dandelion. Have dandelion leaves or dandelion, depending on tomato. Dandelion.
Yeah.
In fact, dandelion, there are scientific studies that have showed it to be everything I've listed. You've listed down. You for people to be able to have all these things are very good at detoxing the body. Right now, I want people to detox, to detox, to detox. Lighten your body. Lighten your body. And everything which I've told you to take, you can take it together with any medication which you're having. It's not a matter of either or the doctor or no. Dandelion, everything which I'm saying right now, if you're on hypertensive medication, continue to take it with this, because hydrogen infused water is just hydrogen. It's just water. You get it? Okay.
Right.
So you cannot be like, oh, maybe. And at the same time, it's also good to ask your doctor what they think about it. But I'm just telling you experiences like which are for me, which have worked for me and for people around me. And those are things which I would recommend right now, which someone can go off the shelf and pick up. But most of all, we must have a healthy mind. Most of all, live your lives with humbleness and humility. Have a reverence for everything around you. Have a mindset that is every day of your life. Find a reason to laugh, my brother. Find a reason to, and most of all, find a reason to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
We take ourselves too serious. We walk around like we're very grave, and we take ourselves like we are newscasters who are reading 9 o'clock news right now, and I'm talking with a very grave face, and I'm very serious. And we take that into our lives. That's not our lives are like the way our children are. You know, we need to lighten up the Lord, because already life around us is tough.
Right.
You know, so we needed to lighten the.
And brother Lotani, let me announce anyone who wants to call to comment or ask question.
Yes, sir.
We'll put the number on the screen.
Yes, sir.
It's 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. So we talk about dandelion, for example. Anytime I think about it, I think of the flower, right?
Yes,
so,
sir.
So what is that? Is that you boil the flower, or what is it? What you do with dandelion?
Most times, yeah, because most times you take the flour, you drink it, you make a tea out of it. The flour, also all the leaves. Like for instance, for me personally, I get the leaves because I have it in my garden here. I just pick it and I put it in my smoothie, and I have it in the morning with the smoothie. I just take the leaves as they are right now. So I just pick them while they still have the life force in them, and within like the 5 minutes, I've made a smoothie out of it, and I'm just infusing it within my body system. But because you live in the world where you are right now, you can go to the stores, to the health stores, and once you go onto the health stores, you'll be able to pick up the leaves, okay? Pick up the leaves, which are dried leaves, and make a tea out of it.
So
Yes,
this
sir.
concept of herbs, right?
Yes, sir.
And we talk about the detoxing, and
Yes, sir.
what is it about herbs, or what do you let me think about the question more. Is you see a leaf and you say, okay, this leaf has this. Is this why you are using it? Or what is it that is making us to tell that this particular plant is able to heal this disease? How do you know that?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Like right now, if you look at the moringa plant,
Yeah.
if you go, you break down the components within the moringa plant, okay, it's got more vitamin C than even um, than oranges, or than anything you can think about. It's got more calcium than even milk. It's got that's why it's called the when you break down the moringa plant, yeah, and you break it down from a scientific, you break down the chemical formula, the chemical makeup of it. Okay,
Yeah.
now that is in order to convince people who are of a scientific or a questioning mindset. But many people, like within our traditions, like how our elders and our elders used to tell us, for them they used to get they get their answers from dreams, from the dream world.
Yeah.
They go into the dream world and the ancestors
That's what I
tell
was
them.
going to ask. That how did
Yes,
the
sir.
ancestor break down? But
And you see, that's the amazing thing. That's why you see,
yeah.
because right now, I'll tell you something which is really funny. And that's why I'm so glad a lot of things right now which are coming forth and are being verified by science. Before, ancestors would say things like that I went into the dream world and he told me about this moringa plant. And I brought it back and it's being able to be used as a complete food for my people. And people would start saying, you're doing juju. But right now, 200 years down the road, science is verifying that, wait a minute, moringa is such a complete food that it's got all these minerals, all these vitamins, that it's so a healthy, dense food. Its seeds, the oils from the seeds are curative for a lot of skin illnesses. And this is something which our ancestors knew years back. But because they humble themselves, they become part of the spirit energy of that particular plant, and they're able to acquire, because anything which you call juju is simply science unknown. Before you knew what the science was, you call it magic. The moment you know it, it's no longer like, it's no longer science, it's no longer anything that's magical. You know, it's the same way like as the example which many people say, like for instance, look at it this way. You are there right now in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I'm here on the motherland. We are talking in time. If this was to be told to anyone who was living like 100, 200 years ago, this would be magic. This would be
Yeah.
juju.
Right.
But it's because it was science not known. So the science of our ancestral knowledge it's unfolding, and it's unfolding because we are able to use machines to break it down into finite particles that can be studied.
Wow. So I'll tell you a story. My
Yes, sir.
colleague here at Focus on Liberia, Anthony Sie,
Yes,
he
sir.
has that gift that your grandmother has
Yes, sir.
to massage the bones and they get
Yes,
wet
sir.
and they right.
Yes,
And
sir.
he tells me that he healed many people because his family has that gift.
Yes, sir.
On my maternal side, there's a cousin there,
Yes, sir.
or great grand cousin,
Yes,
who
sir.
used to have uh, a snake that goes in the bush and pick the leaves and bring it home,
That is true.
and has maybe during my father generation,
Yes,
people
sir.
started looking at it as so they drove it away and went away. And
That's
we
true.
ourselves, we grew up and say, "Oh my God, why were a snake sleep in the same house with you?" But that snake
Yes,
was
sir.
drinking herbs.
And you know, to add on to that, like for instance, many of us here, um, um, we come from traditions whereby you have what is called like a wild animal, but that will be your brother. Like you live in a compound with a leopard, and that leopard doesn't touch anything at home. It doesn't hurt anyone. But that leopard was a brother to you. And I'm trying to show you how harmonious our traditions were with the environment. Because guess what? Right now, we can no longer live with leopards. But this is something that was happening right now. And everyone, if you talk about a leopard right now, people will be, that's a vicious animal. It will, but this was something which is within my lifetime as a child. I'm not talking about something that was happening years ago. No, I know of like what you said, of families that have that lived with snakes within their household, and the snake was considered to be a child of the household. I know families who like, for instance, would say, okay, well, you know what, I think that particular goat is ill, so they give the goat to the leopard, and the leopard will consume that. If not that, the leopard goes and hunts for itself. But right now we've decimated all the forests, and we've decimated the foods which the leopards will be able to get. So people can no longer have that. Okay, so it is a science not yet known, but I can still break it down. But maybe it will be a story for another day, because we are deep diving in a lot of issues, and right now our people are more concerned about tomorrow. I want to wake up energized.
Yeah. And we have a caller on the line who wants to participate in the conversation. So let me bring in
Yes, sir.
Teddy Yankun. You are live. Go ahead. Question or comment?
Yes, Dennis, thank you, and thank you for accepting me. This is Teddy Lion Yankun from Fargo, North Dakota. I agree to your guest, Brother Dennis.
Thank you.
Jack, he's saying some, we Africans, emphasizing on African dynamics. But I'm just trying to come up with some abrupt, ideas I'm trying to share. But even though right now I'm about to go and clock into my job to work, but because the topic is so interesting, so that I just try to get my quick take. But maybe one day, Dennis, some of us would like to share our expertise, our ideas about this war. This war, I did about Egyptology. A lot of deep dynamics of Africanization that we Africans, and we need to focus on that more than religions and other stuff. But I made a comment over there relating to this substance cells in the human body, in the plants, in animal called melanin. Melanin is something that connected. It's the leading cells that are in the human body.
Yes, sir.
In plants, they call it
vitamin D. Vitamin D.
Go ahead and your thoughts.
It's connected to vitamin D as well. Continue.
And these substances, these cells are powerful cells. They are scientifically powerful and spiritually powerful. They are in both plants. They are in animals. They are in human beings.
Yes, sir.
More especially with the black people. That's what produces the color of our eyes and the skin. This is why we don't get skin cancer. That indicates our direct DNA, the connections with the Most High, the Father of creations. So we are powerful people, and the melanin is what reminds you about what you forget about. You forget about something, even in your dream. It's what can help to make you see within your dream, connecting with the pineal gland, the third eye connection. You got the two eyes on your face and make you to see outside. But what makes you to see in your dream? And what makes you to have the feeling of something just over you? You have not looked back, but you feel that something is over you. The melanin is scientifically connected, spiritual with God Himself. So we, the children of God, we the black people, we should be proud of ourselves. We should learn how to discover all these dynamics of ourselves. But maybe I would like to elaborate more on some of these things. But not right now.
Thank you.
More about Egyptology and related to your name, Ja. Related to your name. Let me just learn this. Okay, Ja. Your name, Ja, is a name to be associating with God, the Most High. Psalm 68 verse 4 in the 1611 King James Version. But unfortunately, it should have been Wa. The Letter J is a new letter that came less than a few hundred years ago by the Roman Empire, by the white people. But it was not part of the Egyptian, the old part of Abivet. So God really started from Y, capital Y, the man holds the whole world. Psalm 68 verse 4, there you say, the Most High, the one who rides on his cloud, his name is Yah. That's why I say, hallelujah, hallelujah. 1,000 years, how people refer to it. Hallelujah, referring to the glory be to Yah. Yah, but then, later the white man came, they do a New Testament anything, they went and changed the Y, Jesus. So that when they switched to that whole Jehovah, Jesus, all that, but Jesus really on his birthday every year, they don't say Jesus in Jerusalem, they say Yeshua. So that will get you the connection of the Kru people. The Kru people are the only tribe that fit the history that the black that crossed the Red Sea, all the way Yemen, Sudan, all these things that came back to Africa, but were in Africa before. I want to believe that the black people, 600 years ago, they went to the Middle East, all these places, and the only migration, and only believe that some of the people still return back to West Africa. So West Africa still holds the largest amount of the Hebrews. But we'll talk more about these things.
Yeah, thank you, Teddy. Thank you so much.
Yes,
and let me read a few comments here from our viewers. Priscilla says, Priscilla said, Dennis, our people have tried those things over time. They tested and it worked for them. Yes, and Teddy, who just called, said the melanin cells in the brain, eyes, and skin are connected to the sun.
Yes, sir.
Abby Tyler she's our health contributor here. Say most importantly, though, we are first. Let me get the first comment that she was okay. She said what we were talking about is a branch in healthcare called complementary and integrative medicine. This is not you versus them. We as clinicians incorporate all of this in our patient care.
Good.
Most importantly, though, we are bound by standards of care and must be able to defend it in court. People think all we do is push pills. We push more preventive care. Even when we do prescribe, we still push healthy lifestyle. It is comprehensive care.
Very good.
Priscilla also said knowledge can be used to understand nature and improve our lives. Our lives are not maintained only by politicians or being ministers in government.
Very true. Very true.
And talking about meditation, make a difference in Liberia. There's our friend Joaquin Akolasi say, one day after working at the port in Greenville, as I restored after work, I found myself at the ceiling looking down at my body. It scared me, but I felt at peace.
I can relate to that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Mad in Liberia, brother. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Joaquin, yes, sir. I relate to that. And you know, that is why sometimes it's very good when you're going to meditation that you have guidance. You have someone who can guide you through it, because many times those are things which you're going to experience. You're going to experience what you had is something called like out of body experience, whereby you're able to look at your body, but you are aware. You're not the body. You can see the body there, and yet you're here, and there's an awareness. And if you're not well guided, it might not be a very positive experience. It might not be a very positive experience, and so I can relate to that. And also the brother who talked about melanin, I didn't want to dive into that right now because that's a really it's a very that topic is it's got a lot of sensitivities around it, and but what I can add on to that we should remember, we've got the pineal gland here, and the pineal gland and melanin. And if you remember right now, as we are right as a people, okay, the plants produce photosynthesis to make food. Okay, they make their own food. That's why you see vitamin D. You go into the sun, you get vitamin D. Vitamin D actually is not even a vitamin, it's a hormone. And that is something our skin produces food. That is why people who are deficient of vitamin D are affected by a lot of these influenza viruses that are going on. But once you're able, we are like plants in a way. That's why the darker the skin we are. That's why when the brother started talking about ancient Egypt and all, there's a lot of stuff right now which is too much to package within just only an hour of talk.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, but we should remember that melanin is also connected to the pineal gland, which we have here. And as people who've got a lot of melanin, our pineal gland is awake, is alive, and it's the one that gives you those experiences whereby you know something without having seen it. You're aware of things going on without someone else telling you what's going on. It's like you and me. I mean, I'm on the motherland. You're there in the diaspora. We are talking, but with a certain level of teaching and initiation, you and me can still be continuing to have this discussion without using any of this technology, but using another type of technology.
Yeah.
Just because it's not understood within this Eurocentric Western world type of technology. Yes, sir.
And we're going to, the next time we have you back, we're going to delve more into that. So,
yes,
Joaquin also say, as a child, I spent a lot of time by myself looking at nature, the rivers, clouds, insects, etc. And he continued, if you are in a quiet place and remain rested, you can actually hear your circulatory system.
Very true. Very true. Brother, you are on point. Brother, on point. And that's why I'm glad there's a lot of awareness right now. There's a lot of awareness going on in exactly of returning to self, returning to nature, returning to the essence of who we are as the original. Because remember, we are the aboriginal people on this planet. And this is something which I say from a humble place, which is sense everyone came from us. So we, as the mothers and fathers of civilization of all people, we have to be right first, then the world will be right. Wow. But because we are not right, the whole world is dysfunctional.
Let me bring our last caller here, and then we can wrap this up.
Yes,
this is Joaquin Akolasi.
Yes, sir.
Sir, welcome.
Yes, thank you, Janice. Janice.
Thank
you for taking my call.
Thank you.
And this is a very interesting program, and I agree with just about everything this gentleman is saying. I try to live my life in that manner. When I feel some kind of way, I always question myself: is what did I eat? Did I sleep well?
Yes, sir.
I believe, and I tell my friends that I am my best doctor.
Yes,
it's
true.
not that I don't go and see a regular doctor, but I study myself. I've been doing this for decades. So thank you very much for this program, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, brother, you're so much on point. We cannot let this matrix, which right now is presented in front of us. This is the matrix that has made us say, in order for you to heal, you've got to go and get a bottle with a pill inside. But you are your best doctors. You cannot abdicate your power and give it to an institution that is the one that takes care of your health. No one knows your body more than you. If you take time to listen to the guidance your body tells you. Because right now, I'll tell you this, we've talked about that. There's something else which I had to mention, and it's connected to melanin, it's connected to the pineal gland, it's connected to hydrogen water, and that's the microbiome within our gut. Because right now, as we're talking, we all think that there's this brain in the head, but there's also a brain in our gut. And the brain in our gut is a brain made up of so many microorganisms, so many bacterium. And these are the beneficial bacteriums which we have. And that is why hydrogen water is so very important. That's why everything is connected to melanin, the pineal gland, all these things. But that's a topic for another day, because it's really an expanded topic. But right now, us as a people, something which we can do right now, here, as we're seated, as we're standing, as we're listening, is one, make sure that you have positive thoughts in your mind right now. Ensure and when people hear the word humble, they think that, oh, I'm humble, I've got to, if someone insults me, I should take no action. No, I'm not talking about that. Humble yourself to the result you want. That's what I'm saying. You want health? Then put yourself in a mind frame of humility and humbleness to the ideal picture of health of who you are, and ask that ideal picture to guide you. That's the humbleness, because once you're humble enough to that ideal picture, you'll get guidance here and there. You'll get things will tell you, do this, do that, don't do this, do that, that type of thing. It will come, but because you've taken everything out of the way and all your focus is on that. So humble yourself to that divine picture of health which you want, is what I want everyone to take away from this, is that right now, with what you have, a tool you have within you right now, is humble yourself to that divine, perfect picture of health you want, and let that picture guide you.
Thank you so much. And you couldn't have said it any better. We really appreciate your time. We also want to thank our viewers for staying here with us as we draw down the curtains. I know you have few words, parting comments for our people, and then we can close.
Yes, sir. I summed it all up. All I want to say is, first and foremost, maximum love, peace, and blessings to you, Brother Dennis, for this platform which you've put out, and the ancestors guided you to be in this position right now, and the ancestors working through the Creator working through our ancestors. So I give thanks and praise for that, and I give thanks and praise for everyone who's taken time out, because everyone has got a busy schedule to do whatever they've done and to take time out to listen to this, because that is an awareness of the best in us that is coming forth. That is an awareness of that, and for that I'm grateful, and thank you very much, and stay blessed.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, and I'm going to be in touch with you so we can have you back for part 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, sir. Yes, brother. Okay.
Right.
Much love, my brother. Much love.
Love you back. Yes, and we end with our song that says, "We all Liberians." So we all want people. You're in the motherland. I'm here. We all want people.
Absolutely.
One love.
One love, my brother.
Good day, and God bless you.
Same to you. Good night from this side. Good night from the motherland.